There's probably 4 or 5 things I could talk about today. Some of you would have seen the Zoom meetings that we did previously during COVID, where we talked about personal and business goals, and then we also talked about your life and a couple of things like that. But I thought today I'd have a bit of a chat about what I perceive most of us are actually doing during the week. Now, can I see the hands of those of you who are retired? I sort of reckon you do a version of this as well, okay? But those of you who are working, I reckon do a lot of it. And I think there's 3 things that we do.
Table 58,
We do stuff. We react to stuff, and we check stuff. If we're in a business, if we're not careful, we could spend a lot of time doing that. Doing, checking, reacting. Yeah, just finding out what's happening. If we're not careful, that could take a long time. It can take a lot of energy. Anybody found that out? Yeah, it takes a lot of energy. And so, what I want to have a bit of a chat about today is where these overlap and what we can actually do about it. Because I'm going to come back to this little part of it here for a little in a minute. But one of the really enjoyable things I heard this morning, I heard from you, was that Glenn, was that businesses should make a profit. I think that's really useful. Yeah, we should be making a profit, and I define a profit as being more than our wages. Okay, over and above. Okay, so it should be an extra bit, and a profit helps, you know, with the 10 cents man. Yeah, profit helps us to be able to help other people. Profit enables us to be able to take a risk on someone as an employee. Or invest in an idea that we're not quite sure about, or help someone who's in a difficult situation. And so I want to just pivot a little bit and talk about profit a little bit, and then I want to come back to this. And I think profit sometimes in Christian circles is a little bit frowned upon, if I could say it that way. I think excesses in anything is not good, but I think a profit should be an outcome of doing things really, really well, right? Having your systems and processes in place. And I'm going to just throw a few things up here that can help with that. But I'm mindful too that there are people here who are retired. So maybe you can share this with someone who you know is running a business, because it will be useful to them. What are the variables in profit? Well, I think we know about profit. Profit's one of those things that, you know, if this is your income here and this is your expenses, this bit's called profit. And I said to a guy the other day, I said, how do you define profit? And he said, not very much, which is a bit of a worry, you know. And then I was talking to another gentleman during the week, and I said, can we talk about your profit? He said, yeah, and we talked about it, and it was just the money he was taking out of the business, okay? And he defined that as profit rather than having an extra amount in the business. And so what I want to talk about just for a little while today is what are the drivers of profit? What drives it? Well, I think firstly, it's your products and your services. It's your products and your services that drive it. It's the quality of those. Can I make a suggestion here? I would suggest that whether it's your business or whether it's your industry group, the same number of problems that you see in your product or service or your industry group are exactly the same number of opportunities that exist for you. They're the same number of opportunities that exist, because if you can solve those, then you end up with a competitive advantage, and it makes a lot of difference. I use an illustration of a couple of guys up in Queensland. We're all familiar with this. This is a spoon. These have been around for a while, haven't they, Glenn? They've been around for a while. In fact, my wife used to collect those until We had our house burgled and she lost a whole lot of, multi-generational spoons. So we have a soft spot for spoons in our place. But there's a problem with this. You know what the problem is? If you're cooking and you put that down and there's been chicken on the bench, it's cross-contamination. That's a problem. So a couple of guys up in Queensland decided to do something about it. And they made their spoon, but they put a kink in it here. And then they made it out of a flexible material. Then they put some measuring numbers in here so they could measure it. And they've called it a spoon. S-U-poon, okay, rather than a spoon. And that's impacted, it's changed the product because they then decided, well, what are the other things that we use in the kitchen that we can change? That's been there for 20, 30, 40, 100 years that we can improve upon. So they changed their product and that's helped them to develop their business. Next one in here is your people. It's your people in the business that makes a difference. It's whether they're engaging with your clients nicely. Might be a fairly scary thing, I think, to have a mortgage or a loan against your house and you're relying on your people to do the right thing. That can be a little bit scary, particularly if you don't know whether they are doing the right thing. So it's how they engage with your client, it's your processes in your business. It's your pitch. Are you the cheapest, the most expensive? Where are you? It's your premises, okay? That makes a difference. It's your promise. It's what you go to the business community with. So these are some, it's not all of the variables, it's just some of the variables that can impact your business. But what I've found over the years is in trying to get this right so that we end up with more of a profit, a whole lot of people need to spend a whole lot of time in getting this together. And part of the problem, if there's another P for you, part of the problem, I think, is that they don't know about this bit in here. That's called a plan. That's called a plan. Because if we're not careful, we're doing stuff, checking stuff and reacting to stuff. Okay, we keep doing, checking and reacting to stuff over and over and again. If we're not careful, we can spend all our life doing that. We don't have a plan. So it raises a question, where do you actually get the plan from? And I want everyone to hear this carefully. I think some people get their plan from their brain, some get it from their heart, some get it from above. And in talking to different people, there's a whole lot of ways you can get the plan because that will dictate what you do with all of these things. And a way of thinking about that is this. Your values and your beliefs and our Christian faith should be at the base of it all. That should be at the base of it all. Okay? And then we need to be comfortable in our spirit that what we're doing well. Doing it with a degree of excellence. Not perfect, but doing it with a degree of excellence. If we do it with a degree of excellence, it makes a world of difference to things. So your values or your beliefs are in here. And then on top of that is your behaviours. Can I just press the pause button there for a minute? If we're doing checking and reacting to stuff too much, we don't have a plan to actually live our life. If we're not careful, those of us in business know it can take a lot of time out of us. Anybody worked out it takes a lot of energy, to run a business? If you're not careful, I'll tell you the two areas of life that a business will take it out of you. It'll take it out of your health and it'll take it out of your family time. Guaranteed. They're the two areas it'll take it out of. And so, as we look at these things, it's worthwhile to go, okay, what's the resource material we've got to work with? In a business we can work with all of this, but there's another resource that I think we need to contemplate. You know what it's called? Time. time. And you and I know, instinctively, unless you've done the maths lately, there's 168 hours in a week. Okay? So it's how you structure that. And I've been working with a whole lot of people, and more recently with some people up in the country. We've sat them down and gone through now, what is your plan? Now, some of them aren't Christian people, and so they have to come up with a plan here, and that's part of my joy, is to be able to sit down with people and help them develop a plan and let them know there's another plan hanging around that they may want to get to know about, and there's purpose in what they're doing, which is really useful. And sit them down and look at 168 hours in a week and what an ideal week actually looks like, and work it out. And work it out so that they've got time for some of those other things we've talked about, for their family, for their health, for their ministry. And a gentleman I was talking to 2 weeks ago, got a really good business, he's doing very well, he's making good profit. And I suggested that he needed to put a fence around his working hours. And I asked him a question. I said, how many hours a week should you be working? He said, nobody's ever asked me that, I just do what's needed. And if I could put it this way, if you get it clear how many hours a week you're prepared to work or should work, and you put a fence around that, a firewall around that, please hear the next bit carefully. What ends up happening is it forces you to come up with better ideas rather than extending more time to the task. It allows you to be able to go for a walk, keep relatively fit, eat the right food, have some relationships with your family, and part of the tragedy I see on occasions is while we're trying to get all of this happening, there's this idea that's floating around somewhere that maybe we need to just commit to 3, 4 or 5 years of flat out in order to get there. That's actually not living a life. And that's not a life lived with purpose. And so part of where I'm going with all of this is I'm going to encourage you, whether you're retired or not, just to work or working, to work out what you want to put around the hours a week that you work. Because if you don't, it comes out. It comes out in your family and it comes out in your health. And if those two things suffer, that's where a whole lot of problems start, and a whole lot of problems cause pain for a whole lot of other people. So that's really important. In your goals, and I'm going to suggest that we all need some goals, somewhere where we're going, it's based on your values, your belief, your Christian walk, but then your behaviours. And on top of that is your long-term goals, and then there's your short-term goals. Now everybody knows about that, long-term and short-term goals, but I'm going to propose a different definition. Because a lot of people say a long-term goal is 5 to 10 years. Short-term goal is 2 to 3. The 2 to 3 should lead into the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I agree with all of that. But I'd like to propose something a little bit different, because when we start setting some of these goals and developing a plan, one of the important things is our abilities, our understanding of setting goals and staying on track. And the way I like to define it is this: a long-term goal is as far as you can see. To a teenager, a long-term goal is Saturday night. You know what I'm talking about? No, it doesn't ever come, okay? But some of us who are a bit older, 10 years goes very quickly. Anybody know about that? Yeah. So I think we need to define it differently. It's got something to do with the experience of the person setting the goal. So a long-term goal I like to define is as far as you can see. Okay? some people can't see very far because of circumstances or because of their experience in the past with my back surgery. And I'd like to define a short-term goal as long as you can consistently stay on track for. I'll say that again. As long as you consistently stay on track for. Anybody join the gym?
Yeah.
Notice I didn't say consistently go to the gym. Yeah. Or start a fitness program. Anybody start a fitness program? Yeah. Maybe you stood on the scales and one morning and you looked down and went, oh, that's a new number. And you go, gee whiz, I've got to do something about this. Watch my body language. And you go, come on mate, tomorrow morning I'm going to go walking. Yeah, it's all written and effort, isn't it? Yeah. And so when you look at a number like that, part of the problem that we have is we said, I'm going to do this for the next 12 months and see how I go. Could I suggest that maybe a fitness program or going to the gym, however long you can consistently stay on track for, is probably a good way to measure what a short-term goal should be for you. I'll say that again. If you stayed on your gym or fitness program for 12 days, that's probably about the most you can do now. So I can propose you can achieve a lot of goals if you set it up so that you had a lot of 12-day intervals to actually get there. And hopefully that's part of the plan for your business. And when I sit down with people and talk to them about some of these things, you see these lights go on and they wonder where you get some of this stuff from, yeah, and how you come to the table with different things. And all of you, I know, are not only in business but also got an industry because you're working with other people. And I am amazed, absolutely amazed, that just in the common language, how many opportunities have come up when I'm working with people on these sort of things. It's absolutely amazing. So yesterday, I'm talking to someone in Melbourne, and you go there, talk to someone in Melbourne, and I said, how's the lockdown going? He said, it's okay. He said, I went for a 2-hour walk today. I haven't had a chance to do that for a long time, and I saw a rainbow. I said, that's good. I said, do you know what a rainbow means? I said, that's God's promise he won't flood the earth again. He said, where did you get that from?
Evangelism. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how little people know? Yeah. And if we can explain some of what we do, why you're caring for people, why you're collecting cans, why we're doing some of those things, that's the bigger part of the plan on what we're doing. And if we have a bigger part of the plan that's come down from above for us individually, I think that impacts what we do, what we check and what we react to. And if we don't have that, you know what we end up doing? We end up getting really, really busy and worn out. And that's probably the most attractive proposition to talk to anyone about. I think we need to be relaxed, happy, and moving somewhere. Right? And if we're not relaxed, happy, we have a problem. If you stop and think about it, whether we agree with it or not, the people out there are after only 3 things: health, wealth and happiness, and their definition of it. That's all they're after. So how big's the task? Well, if they're after health, wealth and happiness, why are there so many sick, cranky, unhappy people hanging around who don't have any money? Because They haven't got a plan. Not a plan. They don't know that a plan can come from the heart or it can come from above. And that's in your relationship with the Lord and finding out what's right. And so I would encourage you, as I encourage myself, I'm not perfect at this either, to have a theme for the year. We've got a new financial year starting in 32 days, did you say, sir? Yeah. A theme, something that'll keep you on track. 2 words, 3 words. I have no hesitation in suggesting what mine has been for this year. It's pretty simple. Follow him.
Follow him.
Follow him.
Beautiful.
If you just follow him, the plan becomes more apparent. You won't get all of it on day one, but you'll get enough to keep you focused rather than busy doing other stuff. So, thank you for your time. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, man.